Hello, welcome to the sideboard at the StarCityGames.com Open Series Season 4 Invitational Saddle. I am Nick Miller alongside notable bruiseman Greg Hatch. How you doing today, man?
Excellent, man.
You are just out of this world in what you were playing this weekend. I don't even know how to begin. Tell the people what you're playing in Legacy. Brood Awakening?
Yeah, like a Brood Awakening is what I'm calling it, although there were several other puns in the works.
Right. There are many joke titles for what you're doing here.
Searching for Coggy-Fissers. You know, anyway, I'm playing Artificer's Intuition is the card I'm playing.
Right.
So this card is like a survival that never saw play because it was bad, primarily.
Shouldn't stop you, though.
Yeah, it did not. It came up on Gatherer, and that's enough for me to consider it. So this deck was like, there's an older version of this deck. I don't know the name of the person, but it was San Francisco. He built it like in a PTQ, and he won it, and that was the only thing it saw. And it was with Locket of Yesterdays, Sensei's Divining Top, and Altar of the Brood now.
Right.
But before it was Brain Freeze. But now you can actually search for your win con, so things get really, really exciting.
Right. Anyone that has walked past a match of yours today could not do anything but stop and just watch the entire game.
I feel like I spent like 2 months in my basement writing a novel.
Well, it is time to publish that novel, and
right,
you have done so today. So what is this deck trying to do? You've got a ton of cheap artifacts. You've got Artificer's Intuition with Locket of Yesterdays and Helm of Awakening, like you said.
Right.
And Sensei's Divining Top and Altar of the Brood to mill your opponent.
Right.
But you've got a bunch of other stuff moving along in this deck, too.
Right, and I got a bunch of, there's a bunch of like almost playables, but really this is the most streamlined version of the deck. So what I do is I play all the artifact lands, 12 total, and I have four Lotus Petal, 4 Mox Opal, 4 Lion's Eye Diamond, a lot of cheap mana. So one of the things is like this would be a really cool combo, except like you can't do anything with it, right? Like you would discard this, get 3 mana, you would discard an artifact, but you don't have any to get a Lion's Eye, so you net 2 mana each time. Well, Salvage Titan comes in to teach everybody a lesson. This card is a lot lesser known. So when you discard this to the Artificer's Intuition, man, this is hard to explain. So you can discard it and sack Lion's Eye Diamond. So after you have the mana, then you can just return Salvage Titan because you can sack 3 artifacts, so you can remove 3 artifacts in your graveyard to return to your hand. So now you have an artifact post Diamond.
Right.
That's where the fun begins. I call it surfing. So I'll just start from the beginning.
Yes. This is the process.
Yes. It's like Elves, except when you glimpse, you have a pretty good chance of winning. This one, it's kind of rocky. But usually it's pretty hard to whiff, but you gotta make sure you keep your wits about you. So basically you have these 2 cards, which the idea is to make them free. The Conjurer's Bubble is cool because I can return things if they get milled or whatever, and this one's cool because I can have a Salvage Titan, I can sack it to Salvage Titan to get value out of it. So sometimes you play a Crawworm and it's good enough. I beat my Delver opponent doing that.
Turn 1 Crawworm, pretty good.
Turn 1 Crawworm against Lightning Bolts and Delvers. Like they have to do a lot of weird maneuvering, and then by then I can get my hand together.
Nice 3/2.
Yeah. Okay. And so this is the other card is Locket of Yesterdays is the card you can search for. If you can when you can't get Helm and you must have Helm right now, this is your next best friend. So Locket of Yesterdays allows you to do something in a weird roundabout way to make your spells cost 0. Ultimately, you're going to end up with your Sensei's Divining Tops going on top of your library over and over again. It's in the end of everything.
Right. Usually the game ends when you start showing your opponent a bunch of hand motions with tops
with these 3 and like 1 in the graveyard, it's free to go back all up and down. And this allows you to kill them once you get that infinite thing going. Okay? So, and there's lots of other win conditions, but that's the one that you can search for.
Right.
So, but while you're going off, you don't have enough artifacts to start. You have like 7 artifacts. Well, that's not enough. You got to like remove 3, get Lion's Eye, play it, remove 3, get top. I'm all right, I'm done, right?
There's just...
Right, so you have to be a little bit, I don't want to say creative. That's not the right word. Scrappy.
Scrappy.
All right. Okay. So if these are in the graveyard, they're free. So for the low price of 1 blue mana, you can get 2 artifacts in your bin. So you search for one of these, play it for free, then sack it, draw a card, and then discard that. So for 1 blue, you get 2 artifacts in the bin, and everything's the same as it was before.
Right.
Well, Salvage Titan turns 3 artifacts into 2 mana. So right now we're at 2/3 profitability each Lion's Eye. So we're at 2/3 of a mana each time you do this. And you don't need much. So, this is a good thing. Now, I call it surfing because really while you're doing it, you need to draw a lot of cards right off the top. And if you don't draw an artifact, you die. Well, I have only 3 other non-artifacts in the deck once Intuition's in play. So these are the wipeouts, I call them. Like once you hit them, you just win next turn. You don't win that turn, you just collect yourself.
Yeah.
kind of like set the board up as best you can. You know, if it's post board, get like a pithing needle or something, and then untap, and you can kill them that way.
I birded a match where you did have that happen, and then you're just like, all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll go another turn, and then we'll do it again.
Exactly. You know, that's so bad. You know, save it for a rainy day.
Right. And as Meatloaf and Jack Nicholson from Mars Attacks says, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. You know.
That's what I should call, dude. That's an insane name for this deck, because that's exactly the 2 out of 3 like profitability part of it is perfect. Oh my god, that's insane. Okay, so also at the end of your combo, if you have 2 Salvage Titans in your graveyard, if you want to get real tricky, you can get stars towards the end and just start free rolling Titans for no lost value, because you return it, sack it, you know, and sack 3 stars. So you replace your artifacts immediately. You get the cards back in your hand. Anyway, so if you start wiping out, you start getting like you can't quite make it over, then you just play some 6/4s and kill them next turn. But the thing about this deck that holds it all together is Serum Powder. Now, Serum Powder usually is just a blank card that helps decks do things better. It means I've seen some Belcher lists play it that don't like it really. I've seen some Dredge lists that play it that ultimately didn't like it either. I've seen some the Leyline deck's probably the most common version of the deck. But like really, that's not Serum's fault for not being playable. It's the deck. You know, the deck is really responsible for that one. But Serum Powder in this deck, I discard textless artifacts multiple times in this deck. So like this time, it's actually no drawback. So it allows me to make sure.
0 drawback.
You heard it here first. Exactly. The only drawback is if I get like 4 lines I damage my openers, I gotta take a normal mulligan with Serum Powder. It gets a little awkward. Luckily, the opponent can't see it.
Right.
So and then to round it all out, you can do cool stuff. You can get Lion's Eye, right? And if you have any leftover mana, you just keep getting a bunch of Lion's Eyes in play, and then you like search, you sack Chromatic Star on the stack with the draw on the stack, search with Intuition, in response, sack whatever Lion's Eyes you have. So now you have mana and 2 cards coming. So when you don't have a Salvage Titan, you need to do this so that you can get like top into play, look at top 3 for free, because top's free, you know, assuming this is true, you know, you can make that happen. And then you shuffle back top and get top right on back. You put top back on top, discard whatever it is you drew, get the top again, play it for free. So you have your own reset for looking at your top 3. And if you ever hit Salvage Titan, they're dead. Right. And if you have top, and a Helm in play, then they're dead if you hit Alter the Brood as well. So now you have a bunch of outs. And after board, I add a little, you know, you get a little freaky. You know, if they start to get a little bit, you know, restive of the weary, or maybe like they get like Ancient Grudge or something, you can teach them a real lesson here.
Exactly.
My favorite part of Brain Freeze, it's still multi-purpose. I play it because it's for miracles. Man, miracles, they can't beat it. On turn 8, you just like don't do anything at all ever. You just collect these 2 with Serum Powder, and then don't do anything. And on turn 8, you just go 7 spells, 2 Brain Freeze. Just like, you know, even Flusterstorm, you can pay
just
out
deck them out of it.
Yeah, because you have like, you know, you have to target them right, and you can have like Lion's Eyes to pay for them. It's great.
The great thing from this deck was when you're talking to me about your sideboard options. You've got Brain Freeze, which you said begins this little game of back and forth with your opponent. You know, if they see Salvage Titan, you know, you can go the Brain Freeze route. But if they see the Brain Freeze route, you have to take that card out and keep playing the shell game of how you're going to win.
Exactly, and you need to basically like, you gotta really hold your win conditions close to your chest. Like I was a little bit hesitant to give the deck tech, but I mean, who am I kidding? You know, I gotta make sure. But like, basically, you gotta like, you know, if you play Brain Freeze game 2 and you don't kill them with Brain Freeze, but they saw Brain Freeze, a lot of its effectiveness is right out the window. Well, about 20% of the card's purpose is to mill yourself for 1,000,000 artifacts in Salvage Titan. So it's like a tutor for Salvage Titan, and you can kill them immediately. That actually happened, which was great, because that was like a big thing in testing.
Actually happened.
Actually, straight up, literal Magic cards moving around.
Right.
Yeah. This is so yeah, if you Brain Freeze or don't Brain Freeze, whatever, but you can't really board that many, because you can't destroy your deck.
Right.
You have to like have it be a certain
very
way.
Streamlined.
Right. So if you have, I've played 4 Alter because of this, because I need something to take out, you know, in a strange way. And after board, if you have more win conditions, you only need 2 really. It's good game 1 because you can just you can top into it in the end, and it's like a free thing. So you want to you want alter density.
Yeah. That's
the term the colloquially used.
Threat density.
Alter density.
Alter density. Same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's just but so you want to board out, and then like, you know, if they're playing elves, for example, they might think twice about glimpse killing you if you have this. So you can't do it game 3. So like, but they're glimpsing and going off. You just wait. You start moving a die behind your deck box really silently, and you get your storm count up, you know, really slowly, and all of a sudden they hit like that magic number, but cards in deck, storm count. All right, draw on the stack, Brain Freeze you, and so, you know, it takes a little bit of that doing. And then because you have 4 Serum Powder, you can do this awesome thing with Leyline of the Void. If they're trying to use their graveyard, it's not happening.
Yeah.
All right, I have 4 Serum Powder, 4 Leyline. I will go to 2 cards.
You will find a Leyline.
Yeah, I can use a Serum Powder with 2 cards in my hand. I mean, that Leyline's going down, and I can hard cast it, and I better do it because against Show and Tell, you know, it's relatively popular, and I have a hard time killing that. I can't even beat that deck. Game 1, it involves it involves what I call the reverse headless horseman. All right, and that, I swear, that is PG. And the reverse headless horseman allows you to mill your opponent over and over again until they hit Emrakul. Well, if it was your own deck, everybody knows that that's not allowed. You can't just Emrakul yourself. That's just not cool.
Judges aren't cool with that.
The opponents might not realize what's going on right away. So you get kind of a lot of like, you know, little shuffles going on, and then eventually you get to this point where you can like mill all of their relevant spells, maybe like all their forces and all their show and tells, or like maybe some combination of it. And it's not like Press Your Luck. If you've seen that show, you have to just like stop, you know,
right?
You know, because
no
they're
whammies.
Cool, you know, you have to start all over again. So once you do that, then you can just play your 6/4s and kill them.
Right.
That's the
Good,
idea.
clean magic.
Absolutely. I mean, this is just every day.
Right.
Bread and butter.
All right.
Yeah. So and then of course the last thing holding it out is 4 defense grid in the board. It's an artifact. What's not to like? I mean, it could be, you know, it's almost textless cards are 60% effective in this deck, but this card is nice because it acts as a duress. That's an artifact. And if you can't play non-artifacts in your deck if you're planning to do the surf kill, so they better be really, really high impact. They either be another Wink Edition, or it better kill them. You know, like so. But with this, it's nice because if I play it, they have to counter it. So it's an artifact duress.
Right.
I would play main deck, but I don't know.
Right.
And then you
3
play
last slots, couple utility pieces. It looks like.
It doesn't take much long to go through Gatherer and look up artifacts that cost 1 or less, because there are like about 20 cards that are easy to be like, hey, why don't you play this card? Why don't you play this card? Well, trust me, it's sleeved. And I didn't have this deck written down until the last moment. I didn't know what to do. So like, this is what I settled on. You don't want to play too many of these because you can just Serum Powder them away. This kills their Pithing Needle. It's like super relevant. Kills their counterbalance and your explosives. Just like, you know, you can pay like 5 for it or 6 or whatever you need to do so they can't counterbalance kill it. Welding Jars against Abrupt Decay and against the Blue-Red Delver deck, because the 6/4 against Blue-Red Delver is the primary strategy. Because they board in like Pyroblast and like Spell Pierce, and they take out like Bolt and stuff, and you're just like, remember Crawworm? You remember him?
Crawworm is back.
Remember when your brother had Crawworm and you had Grey Ogre? Remember how that felt? Yeah, you're gonna get some flashbacks.
You also got the Engineer Explosive. Also gave you an out to your Belcher opponent you played against. You know, a lot of goblins actually gave you a way to get rid of those goblins.
Exactly.
You unfortunately did not find it.
Right.
But
and I should have mulliganed that. I mean, this deck is like, it's tough to have intuitive knowledge of mulliganing in this deck. It took me 3 weeks to figure out that it was even a viable combo. Like the idea that you could play the bubbles for free and gain traction with it, like that, it wasn't even on my radar.
Right.
And my radar is pretty large. And so I have this one too. Pithing Needles, of course, to shut down like their versions of things that would like mess you up.
Right.
So this would be like their Relic, but you don't even need your graveyard if you have Helm of Awakening, but like it's still nice. But also their top. And wait a second, Greg, that stops your top too, right? Don't worry. This Crawworm does it all, okay? Action now. It slices it, dices. At the very end of the combo, after you do everything, you just cast it, sacking your Pithing Needle, and then combo them.
that is too much.
Right, and
that is too much.
You can also Mishra's Bobble them on the way down to make sure that the counterbalance isn't going to mess you up. So like that's I played 2 Bobbles to help with the Mox Opal. It's like a concession. I don't want to actually play Bobble, but I kind of have to. It's at least cycles. It's better than Street Wraith. I would probably play Edge of Autumn if I could have found one.
Okay.
Because it's like a free roll. If you draw it, you can just get an extra artifact in the bin. It's just a complete free roll. So Edge of Autumn is what is.
Right. The puns are many with this deck. We've come to that conclusion.
Oh, so yeah, I forgot that my favorite part of the deck is what I didn't play is Gamble alongside of like the Thopter Foundry, Sword of the Meek, and Life from the Loam variants. You know, Life from the Loam works just well with Salvage Titan too.
Right.
But like I called the Gamble and Sword of the Meek Thopter Foundry deck Thopter and Gamble. So that almost started that was some top-down deck design that wasted about 2 weeks of my life.
Probably produced a lot of toilet paper or something there.
Well, the cardboard can be used also as toilet paper. Yeah, as with many things in this deck, they're multi-purpose.
Right.
So you can do lots of things.
All right.
Not the least of which is cleaning up after yourself.
There's no question this deck is super sweet. Why would you want to bring a deck like this to a tournament, you know, Legacy especially? Like, what brings you to this build of all the things you've done?
I don't really understand the sunk cost fallacy. So I spent about a month kind of like brewing this deck, and so like, I mean, I know it's a big tournament and everything, but like I wanted some real, like, I just wanted to play it, and like
Right.
I wanted to, I just wanted to play the deck, and I wouldn't let anything stop me, including reason.
All right.
Or like any sort of like objective, better or not better, like
Yeah,
that kind of.
who needs any of that?
But the thing is, the deck is like, it's remarkably similar to like Belcher. You know, if it's wrong, it's not that wrong.
Right.
Right? And there's a lot of decks you just can't lose to. Like Death and Taxes is just like an amazing matchup.
Okay.
Because as long as you can interact with their Evoker, they have just about 0 ways to interact with you. Anyway, so all this is just great. So I'm really happy to be playing it. And I'm hoping to do pretty well with it. I was so glad to beat my blue-red opponent with the Crawlworm to show viability. It's proof of concept.
Yeah. Crawlworm is the real deal. You heard it here first.
That's right. It should have creature type worm because it's the massacre worm of this deck.
All right. Greg, thank you for sitting down with me. The deck's insane. The deck tech was insane. You know what you're talking about.
I just love this deck to that. So.
Stay tuned to StarCityGames.com all weekend long for the action here at the Season 4 Invitational.
See ya.